Hi, Bill from CJ Pony Parts. We've done a lot of the typical upgrades to our 2011 GT, including a shifter, cold air kit, and a pair of mufflers. Another real popular upgrade is going to be a set of lowering springs. Ever since we installed our Boss 302 splitter, the car's been in desperate need of being lowered. So today, we're going to install these Eibach Sportlines. Eibach offers two sets of lowering springs for the 2011 through 2013 Mustang, the Pro Kit and then the Sportline seen here. The Sportline is the more aggressive of the two. It's going to give us approximately a 2-inch drop in the back and an 1.5 inch drop in the front. The kit includes all 4 springs and a pair of new lower bump stops. For this installation, you'll need a jack and jack stands or a lift and pull jack, 1/2 inch impact gun, 13/16 socket, 1-inch socket, 18mm socket, 21mm socket, 3/8 ratchet, T40 Torx bit, 8mm socket, 10mm socket, 13mm socket, 15mm socket, 18mm wrench, hammer, spring compressor, torque wrench, razor blade, Loctite, and safety glasses. We're going to start with the front springs. We're going to start by removing the 2 nuts on the inside of both sides, which will also remove our strut tower brace. Now we'll just loosen the outers. You don't want to remove them. Basically just break them free. Now with the car up in the air, remove our wheels. To remove our original strut, first we'll disconnect our sway bar, then we'll take the brake line off the back here, and lastly, the 2 retaining nuts that hold the spindle to the strut. Now remove the bolt in the back here that holds the brake line to the bracket. Remove the little Christmas tree clip for the ABS line. Now move on to the 2 nuts that retain the spindle to the strut. Now you want to hammer out the bolts. Now we'll go back and remove the nuts for the strut top. And now we can remove the strut. Now we need to remove the spring from the strut assembly. You will need a spring compressor tool to do this, safely get it off the strut. Once you have it properly compressed, it's no longer leaning against the strut top here, we're going to remove the strut nut. I'll remove the compressor. Last step with the stock springs, we're going to remove the factory isolator, move it over to our new Eibach. And we're ready to put it back on our strut. We'll install a spring on the strut. The sport lines, we probably don't need our spring compressor. If you're using a different kind of spring, you may need the compressor to get it down far enough. We've learned in the past, the sport lines are low enough, you usually don't. Make sure the end is seated properly on the strut. And push it all the way up against that edge there. And we'll install our strut mount again with the cutout with the spring. Before you install the strut nut, you want to put a dab of Loctite on the threads. Press down a little bit and get the nut started. I'll tighten it down. Put the cap back on, ready to reinstall in our car. Now we're ready to reinstall the strut assembly. You want to make sure when you put it up into the strut tower, this little notch here is facing outward, lined up with the edge of the strut. Tighten these down enough to hold it in place. You don't want to tighten them all the way just yet. Now we're going to lift this up into place. We'll reinstall the nut. Reinstall the bolt for the brake hose bracket. Now we'll reinstall the clip for the ABS line. Now move back to the sway bar. Now we'll reinstall the wheel and repeat the process on the other side. You want to make sure once you put the wheel on, you torque it to the proper spec before driving. Once you finish the driver's side spring, now we're going to tighten the outer two nuts for the strut mounts, then reinstall our strut tower brace. Now we can move on to the rear springs. Now we're ready to work on the rear springs. First thing we're going to do is support our axle. After that, remove the nut and bolt that holds the sway bar into place. That way we can access the bolt to remove the rear shock, which will allow us to remove our spring. Next, remove the bolt for the rear shock. Now we're going to lower down the rear. Remove our original spring. Now we're going to replace the bump stop with the shorter one. If you leave the stock one on, you'll have some ride issues because the lower spring will allow us to bottom out too easily. You you can see the installed height difference between the stock bump stop and the Eibach bump stop included with the kit. Lubricate the new one a little bit to install it. There we go, and ready to reinstall. Going to reinstall the factory isolator, spring back into place. You want to leave it with the bottom end of the coil towards the back of the car. Now we'll jack the rear back up into place. Lift it until the shock lines up with the hole. Slide the retaining nut in the back and slide the bolt through. Now you want to leave the sway bar disconnected and repeat the process on the other side. Once you're done the other side, then you can reconnect your sway bar. We're going to reattach our sway bar and make sure both links are inside of the exhaust. Tighten one up, you won't be able to get the other one installed. And installation is finished. Our Eibach Sportlines gave our 2011 the look we wanted. The car sits flat, it's nice and low, the wheel well gap is almost gone. Best of all, it's going to be a huge improvement in handling. Installation should take you around 2 hours, you'll be back on the road in no time.